Now, joining us now, BYU basketball associate head coach Tim Lacomb on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline on the road today. So we assume, getting the good word out there about the Party Hounds, right, Tim?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's first leg of our tour. It's exhausting. My voice is, taking a beating. No, but really, first day of the live evaluation period for July. So 3 weeks consecutively, there's live AAU events, and college coaches are able to go and watch them. So about 15, 16 days of the month, our staff will be out seeing guys, for 2018, 19, 20, and kind of just building our board.
What city are you in?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, north of Atlanta in Cartersville, Georgia, as we speak.
Oh, very nice. Checking out the talent. So you helped put together the schedule, and the schedule, the non-conference schedule, came out yesterday. What did it take to put that 13-game slate together?
The hardest thing we do is put a team together and try to win games. I mean, that's the toughest thing. Recruiting is obviously really tough. Getting the right guys in here. But I would say right up there is the scheduling part of this is really difficult. And it's Coach Rose's fault. He's had way too much success at home. I will tell you, we had 4 contracts with schools basically done and on their desks to sign, and all 4 of them never got returned signed. So there's a lot of drama in scheduling, and so the fact that we got the schedule done, and to many the names won't mean as much as maybe some other names, but we use an equation. It's a numbers thing, really, and by the end of the schedule, we feel like the teams that we will be playing against, and then coupled with obviously St. Mary's probably a top 15 team, Gonzaga will be a top 15 team. So you had 4 more games against top 15 teams to go with the preseason schedule that is. I'll promise you, is way better than it looks on paper. It'll put us in a really good position, hopefully, to have our numbers right to be able to compete to get into the tournament.
Now, we were just talking about that. Name brand is interesting in college basketball because there are 351 teams. Some lesser-known teams have consistently good programs like Illinois State and like UT Arlington, both of which come to Provo this year along with Utah. So while, it doesn't pop off the page like a UConn or a Texas, those are good NCAA tournament caliber teams and an opportunity for BYU to earn some important wins in the metrics that matter, the RPI, the KenPom, strength of schedule, all that stuff. So how difficult was it to get teams like Arlington and Illinois State to come to Provo?
Well, Arlington actually was so we play in the Barclays Classic, and as part of that, you get 2 home games assigned to you, and that actually was all done prior to even the NIT last year. So just kind of a weird coincidence, and we knew they were coming back. In fact, when we talked them before the game with their staff, they were like, "Well, it looks like we'll be back here again in November." And so that was actually one that we basically get assigned. You get 2 home games as part of the what's called a multiple team event, and what the benefit of playing in those events is you get to play 4 games, but they only count as 2. So if you play in a multiple team event, you actually get to play 2 more games than you would if you didn't. So the Niagara and UT Arlington games are both games that were assigned to us as part of that Barclays event, and then we'll go back to Brooklyn and play Alabama and UMass as part of the event itself. Illinois State was actually an interesting one because, I think they made the news right after the tournament because like us, they have got an unbelievable run of years where they've been really good, and they have a hard time getting teams to play them. And So I've known Dan, the head coach there, Dan Mueller, for a long time. When he was an assistant, actually, back at Valpo, and we were in a tournament. I was at Utah, and so we got to know each other. And when I saw his tweet that, hey, look, we'll take any and all games, it was a game that we kind of fell into that because we had three, like I said before, we had 3 or 4 games that we were trying to get and thought we had done. A couple of them with P5s that were going to come to Provo first. And then, like I said, they didn't sign the document. So Illinois State ended up being a really good option. I think that they're, they'll probably be a top 50 RPI team this year, coming off 29 wins last year, have a majority of their guys coming back. So, it'll be a great game, and then we'll return that game to their place next year.
Illinois State is finishing in the top 65 of KenPom 3 of the last 5 years. So that's kind of a under the radar. Wichita State, same league, a little better known, but Illinois State, yeah, quality team there. I was going to ask you if you scheduled them after you heard that. So that's funny that you saw that tweet and then did that. But
and knowing him, we've actually become pretty good friends. And so when the opportunity arose, we reached out and we're talking, and he, true to his word, he's like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. And I said, look, we got to start a game at home. And he was all for it, and we got it done pretty quick.
Tim Lacomb, associate head coach for BYU basketball, with us on BYU Sports Nation. We've talked about the big names in the non-conference slate. Of course, when you get into conference, you're dealing with Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and both of those teams not really showing any signs of dropping off. St. Mary's projected 4 seed in Joe Lunardi's summer bracketology. Gonzaga down to a 5 seed, so I guess you could call this a down season for Gonzaga coming off a national championship appearance. It's good to be the Zags. But it seems like there are plenty of opportunities for BYU to make some national noise because of the strength of what you see in WCC play and what we just talked about with Illinois State and Utah coming to Provo.
Yeah, it's always interesting because I think that the layperson, thinks that, we just draw names out of a hat and put our schedule together. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of number crunching that goes into it, and so it's always interesting when the schedule first comes out to see, the opinions out there. But much like our team, I mean, you guys kind of started with this. We are basically we're blocking out everything and everyone. One of our objectives this summer is to devote ourselves, everybody in that locker room to being one person with one common goal. And in this day and age, it's really hard because, everybody's got a voice, and it seems like idiots use their voice a lot more and a lot louder than the average, great fan. And that spills over to our guys, and it spills over to the program, and it spills over to everything. And I think that our goal is to just really focus on trying to do our best to, in everything that we do to be excellent. And obviously didn't have the type of year that we'd hoped to have last year. Had some setbacks, but all that stuff's in the past. Kind of the rearview mirror analogy. You can focus on the rearview mirror. You can focus on the windshield. And we're looking straight forward. And right now we're working with the guys. We have 2 hours a week with them during the summer that we can actually be hands-on. And our whole aim every day is just let's take this 2 hours, this week, and let's get our guys to, have great chemistry, to hold each other accountable, to be accountable to us and to each other, and really try to adjust the culture within the culture. And really, after 3 weeks, really excited about the direction, but just totally focused on this summer right now and trying to, try to fix the things that we felt weren't great and improve the things that we did okay, and then obviously develop a bunch of guys in the process.
The pressure of last year versus this year is interesting, and the Lone Peak 3 and the expectations and everything. It felt, and I wasn't on the team on the inside, but it felt like that was something that was hopefully used to its initial benefit, but in the end felt like it was maybe more of a burden. How have things changed with this new look team and the separation from kind of previous expectations a little bit?
Everywhere, it's interesting because everywhere I go, it doesn't matter if I'm in the, getting gas, or if I'm in the supermarket, or if I'm in church, everybody wants to talk about everything. And, the thing, almost the lead on everything we do as a man, how in the world are you guys going to function this year? And so whereas last year, everywhere I went, it's like, we're getting our Final Four tickets. So, I think in that respect, I do believe that, there aren't a lot of people, with even close here in the community that have much of an expectation for this team. Our expectations are the same every year. They don't change. And what we've tried to do this offseason, even as a coaching staff, is to really dig deep into, why some things went the way they did last year, and what kind of things can we control or do a better job, and rather than point the finger and say, well, the guys didn't do this. There are certain things that we've identified in even our leadership style that we're doing a great job of adjusting and, and dealing with. And so your question is the expectation. We hold ourselves to a really high standard. But like I said before, really the only expectation, the only thing that matters is what, 25 people in the room, with all the players and staff and coaches and support staff, what they are thinking, as much as we love the fan support and or the fan concern or all that stuff, to be our very best, we got to shut all that out, because at the end of the day, no one but the people on the inside know the real story. There's shows like yours that are, on every single day trying to figure out the real story, but there's a certain point of it that there's a culture within the locker room that nobody really knows and nobody will ever understand. And so the most important thing is that we're all together and that our expectations are all the same, and that we hold ourselves to a really high standard and hold each other accountable. And so I think that's the direction that I'm really excited about, because I think that there's a whole level of buy-in all the way across the board, and it's exciting to me because I really do see great things with this group.
Associate head coach Tim Lacomb with us on BYU Sports Nation, on the road recruiting for BYU basketball. And speaking of recruiting, recently announced 2 additions, Kajon Brown and McKay Cannon joining the roster. And not too long ago, Jashir Hardnett, the junior college transfer from Chipola College out of Marianna, Florida. What do those guys bring to BYU basketball?
Well, I guess on one by one, I mean, Jashir is the kind of guy who really has given us fits forever. A little guy who can get anywhere he wants to on the floor. He's got an unbelievable handle. What I've been really impressed with is his leadership, his voice, his understanding of how to play the game. And so all those things obviously really would have helped us last year. He's a guy that played a year at Fordham, so he's played Division I for a year, and then he went to Chipola. At Chipola, he was first team All-League, first team, our newcomer of the year in the league, and brings, really great understanding of how to play the game. Big, strong kid, like I said before, can get anywhere he wants on the floor. We've had a lot of fast guys before, but sometimes, fast guys forget to bring the ball with them. Their handles aren't always the best.
That's my problem.
And he can get through anything. Some of his film we watched him recruiting him, just going through a whole team and getting to the rim, making the play, for somebody on a kick out. Just really understands what a good shot is and how to facilitate all that. So he's going to be great for us. Kajon as well played, actually went to Tulsa and was at Tulsa for a year. He actually didn't play, was almost more of a redshirt type season for him. But that's all kind of up to debate. So there's actually a possibility he may have 3 years instead of 2. As of right now, he's got 2. He went to Lee College, and if you just look at his numbers, it's not anything that just jumps off the page at you. But one of our aims this year is when we sub, particularly, we wanted to be able to bring guys off the bench that bring something a little different. And Kajon is big and long. He's very athletic. I think he's got a 39, 40-inch vertical. He's capable of making open shots. And like Jashir, is very, very well schooled in how to play and always seems to make the right basketball play, which is huge. So we're excited, really excited to have those two kids. We feel like they're just, their innate abilities bring something really different to the table, as opposed to, you guys talked about us having a hard time bringing guys off the bench to contribute. That was one of our aims this year, is to bring guys off that brought something different, that when you subbed, you're not only, getting good players out there, but guys that bring different challenges to the defense and the offense. Both guys can really get down the stance and guard the ball. That's a huge emphasis this year. And then McKay Cannon played at Weber State. He started his entire freshman year. Played, a little bit less last year at Weber. He got married, and his wife runs track, and so she actually was looking to possibly move to a different place and got some interest at BYU. And when he got his release, called, told him we didn't have a place that we felt like we could scholarship him, but we would, take him in a minute as a walk-on, and he decided to come. He had a couple other places he could have gone. He'll have to sit a year, but he'll be an absolute perfect, like for this season, he'll be an absolute perfect scout team point guard for us, run the other team stuff. He's tough. He understands how to play. He picks things up really fast. So that's kind of, scout team point guard, you're running something different every couple of days because you're simulating the other team. But McKay, the way he's been playing thus far, it looked for him to have a really bright future here, and is a type of guy that has excelled here because he's tough, he's smart, he's skilled, and understands how to play. So I feel like, our guard line that way, added some guys that really can help us get better.
5-second answer. No complications getting Utah in Provo? Everything cool?
Yeah, everything cool.
Okay, that's all.
That's all.
It's better than last time. No drama's good.
Yeah. Tim, I got to be honest, with so many question marks and just the new change in philosophy and so much turnover, this is one of the more intriguing and exciting basketball seasons to look forward to. We wish you the best on the road recruiting, and we appreciate the insight, man.
Hey, always great to be with you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Tim.
You got it. Tim Lacomb from the Atlanta, Georgia area, recruiting for BYU basketball on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future.